My name is Michael Harrison. I am originally from a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia, called Conyers.
My name is Julia Andrews West. I'm originally from Greenville, Texas, which is a little bit northeast of Dallas.
Hi, my name is Clay Kilpatrick. I'm originally from Texas, but we moved here from California, where I lived for about 15 years, a total of 15 years.
I'm Genevieve West. I am from Greensburg, Kansas. It's a small town out in western Kansas, about an hour from Dodge City.
Ended up here most recently in Monmouth. I'm now a professor at Monmouth College.
I'm currently a theater professor at Monmouth College.
I am staff accompanist and an instructor at Monmouth College.
And now we live in Monmouth, Illinois.
In Greensburg, we have about 6 or 7 generations of Wests, so my family has always been there. And we grew up in the houses that belonged to our great-grandparents or aunts or uncles. So very family-oriented, very history-oriented place. My
parents were divorced when I was 7. I have one older brother and a younger brother. We're all a year apart. My mom raised us for a couple of years, and then my dad raised us till I left. So that was pretty much a normal upbringing.
I grew up in just a pretty stereotypical mom, dad, one sibling structure. I'm the youngest. I grew up in the most liberal Methodist church that's available in Greenville, Texas. This church actually had women at the pulpit, so I mean I wasn't totally sheltered in that amount of time. My
mom and dad had met in college and gotten married right after their sophomore year in college. I have an identical twin brother named Joseph. We have one younger sister who's almost 4 years younger than we are. I remember that most of my friends that I would play with on the playground were this group of girls. I just felt more comfortable hanging out with them and whatnot. And I remember distinctly one of my friends run up to talk to us, and she had been playing on the jungle gym or something. She said, "I'm a tomboy." And I remember turning to the other girls in the group and saying that I must be a tom girl.
There's something about 5th grade. I think it's just that age, that 11 to 12-year-old age, where you start to figure out, oh boy, I'm not quite right. And I think I had this Protestant work ethic that I thought if I could ignore it enough and work hard enough and do enough of I guess, straight activities, that it would cancel out and it would go away.
I didn't really know I was gay, but I knew I liked guys. And then when I did sort of figure out I was gay, I didn't want to be gay, and that's really why I joined the Marine Corps. It was one of the reasons. I figured if I was a Marine, because the Marines didn't have gay people, so if I was a Marine, then I couldn't be gay, which took me 5 years to figure out was crap. Was not a very good argument. So
it really took into my 20s to come to complete ownership of myself, and to celebrate myself, and to understand that I, simply by being a human, deserve to live a happy life. That took years to own.
Well, internally I was thinking, well, if I join the Marine Corps, that's pretty manly, and then if that would sort of prove my manhood. So I spent 5-6 years in basically just denial about everything, and never dealt with it, never thought about it. And just really threw myself into my career.
My freshman year, I had started to kind of decide, okay, I'm at college, I can start to try to come out. At the same time, I had joined a fraternity and was really excited about that opportunity. And so I can remember making a decision that, well, this is something I can wait till after college to kind of deal with. And it wasn't anything that I was unhappy about, like that it made my life tortured or anything. I just kind of said, okay, well, this is not that important to me right now, so I will put it off.
My biggest stage was being honest with myself, and I spent a lot of years lying to myself, and so I didn't intend to, but in doing that, I lied to everybody around me.
So when I did come out, I was about 22. Came out first to my sister and then my mother, within the same day, and they took it. They're Southern women. It's a matriarchal family. They had to process. They all had to come to terms with it. That's kind of the way they are. They needed to talk and cackle and discuss, and that's just what Southern women do. My father just kind of ho-humped and whatever, and that was that. And I didn't really hear much after.
I can remember sitting down in my barracks and thinking, you know, I can either continue to pretend that I'm straight, and I can go I can get a girlfriend, or I can finally admit that I'm gay, and I can start exploring and seeing what that's all about. So for me, that was a big, you know, conscious decision to do that.
I went away to grad school, and I started going out with guys and dating, and had a couple of short-term boyfriends, and then but still had not really come out to my family.
So even though I was out, I was kind of in. But when I went to college, that's when I was like, I was out. I was sort of decided, you know, when I get out of the Marine Corps, I get my honorable discharge, and I'm coming out to everybody. And that's what I did. I basically told, when I went to A&M, I didn't pretend that I was straight. I came as a gay man. And then I sat down and told my family. I told each member of my family, and, you know, just sort of after that, I've always lived my life, you know, out open and honest. I've never really hidden who I was after that point.
And ended up getting invited to go to Disney World with my family, and I didn't want to go by myself because it was going to be my brother and his wife and their kids and my parents, and it was going to be this big family thing. So they told me they could bring a date. And so I learned later on, a few months later, when I finally did come out to my parents, that when I hung up the phone to turn to Brian to say, hey, do you want to go to Disney World? My parents hung up the phone and said, well, you know, Michael's going to bring his boyfriend. I remember having that conversation with my mom a few months later to kind of just say, hey, is everything okay? And she's like, yep, everything's fine. And so it was kind of one of those things that I, like I said, it confirmed my thoughts that I knew that my parents would be great all along. I just had to kind of deal with it and come to the point in my own time to be able to get to that point.
I mean, my mom was pretty cool about it. You know, she struggled for a little while, but, you know, when we talked, she kind of said, well, the reason your dad raised you, raised, you know, your brothers and you, but specifically you, was we always thought you might be gay. But we thought that if you were raised by him, that would, you know, then that would something that wouldn't happen. My little brother, he's a year younger than I am. He kind of came around pretty quick. My older brother, I contend it's just one more thing he doesn't like about me. Like, my dad and I were really, really close. Like, my dad was probably my best friend growing up, and all the way up till high school, through high school. It really was when I joined the Marine Corps that he really took it personal. Like, I was sort of abandoning him. I was leaving him, and that really put a strain on our relationship.
I think, though, that they were able to see a large difference in my level of happiness after coming out. They could compare where I was, so they could see that I'm much happier now than where I was before then.
I've lost some friends over it. I've lost some piano students over it, but you know, as much as possible, it was an easy enough process. I have to admit, Monmouth was the first time I was ever out on the job.
When I met Clay, and I got to take him home and meet my parents, and then they could kind of see us together and see, okay, well, the kind of the worries that parents have when a child comes out, are they going to be unhappy? Are they going to have trouble finding a partner? Are they going to have trouble fitting into society or whatever? That when they kind of got to see us together, that was kind of, I think that was the final point of the transition. If you were going to mark them getting used to the idea, is to that point.
And I went to Atlanta really with the attitude, like, I'm kind of going to have fun. Like, I'm, you know, not really looking for Mr. Right. You know, I'm looking for Mr. Right now.
My friend Eric was his good friend from college, and so one of the few people who he knew in Atlanta. So he had been there for 2 weeks, and so when Eric was setting up this party, he called Clay and said, hey, come to this party, and you can meet a bunch of my friends.
So I met Eric at his house, and while we were waiting for people were going to meet us out, but some were going to meet at his house, Michael showed up. He was the first one to show up, and wow, this guy's really, you know, really cute. So we got to talking that night, and we went out, and we just really sort of hit it off. And we sort of met that night, and we kind of have been together literally ever since.
Julia lied her way into a date with me.
She was cute, and I wanted her number.
I was directing a production of The Taming of the Shrew outside. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I needed live musicians. I was sitting around just saying, I need a musician. I need a musician who will work for beer, basically, who work for nothing.
she seemed like an interesting person. She was, you know, outside of my normal music nerd collection of people to hang out with, and it seemed like a kind of fun activity.
And this little hand popped up, and I recognized her face because I knew who she was. I would just happen to be at bars where she would play.
And it was fun, you know. I got to learn some guitar, and I got to play with a friend, and got to check out somebody, you know, so it was a good thing.
And then we started dating, and so about 3 months later or so, I went to her apartment, I saw the guitar in the corner, and I said, "Oh, play the guitar." And she said, "I don't know how to play the guitar." And I said, "You played the show. What do you mean?" And she said, "Oh, no, I went home that night and taught myself 3 chords in order to play the show."
Spring break of that year, the kind of our first full year together, we went to Savannah, Georgia, and then while we were there for spring break vacation, Clay proposed.
We got engaged, and a year later we had a ceremony in San Diego with about 125 of our closest and dearest friends.
So the binding is made.
Then flash forward, then domestic partnership became sort of the thing in California, so we registered for that. We went down to the courthouse first day, and we got, you know, officially married. So then we moved to Illinois, and now we live here. Ta-da!
Well, we had a commitment ceremony in 2005. Bless you. We had a commitment ceremony in 2005 in the lesbian mecca of Lincoln, Nebraska. And that did a lot to shape our family's view of how we saw one another. In 2009, we went across the border to Iowa and were married. We kept saying, "It's no big deal, it's no big deal." And I think we both got into it and thought, "Oh my gosh, this is a much bigger deal."
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Absolutely. It's a very big deal. And even the ceremony in 2005, it was important for us to make a public declaration. You know, we as a society, we have to witness things. And we wanted our family and our culture to witness who we are together as a family. And that's very, very important to me. And I think it's important to us.
But in 2011, civil unions went into effect in Illinois, which had some direct impact for us. I was 7 months pregnant. And during that time, I decided to change my name. So that allowed me to walk into Social Security Administration over in Galesburg and, just like anyone else in the world, change my name.
Allowed for me to be on Ruth's birth certificate, which is, as you can imagine, of utmost importance for me. You know, a lot of people may look at our family and question our ability to be a family or our ability to raise a child. And what people need to realize is that Ruth deserves everything of mine, and she deserves the best of me, and she deserves everything of mine, financially and in every way. And so she deserves to have me linked legally to her so that she can have everything she deserves. And I think people forget that. You know, it is about family, it is about protecting the family, and it is about protecting our child. I love my marriage. I absolutely love my marriage, and I love being married to you. There you go. And I'm pretty blessed and lucky, you know.
Michael's the guy, you know, is the person at the end of the night that I want to go to bed with. And he's who I want to wake up with. And he's who I want to go to the movies with. He's who I want to hang out and watch TV with.
And when you say we are a family unit, that means I will have responsibility and a vested interest in her lifelong success. And I will have responsibility and a vested interest for her lifelong success. Because the happiness of these two is my happiness as well.
That it's important for society to put value on the pair relationships that establish the core of families. But as society has changed and has seen that that there are groups of people who are different and that establish those pair relationships with people of the same sex, that it seems like it's the natural progression for society to look at that and say, yes, we want to value that as the core of a family, as two people who meet and fall in love and decide that they want to establish a family together. And sometimes that it means kids, sometimes that doesn't, but it's a family in and of itself.
Well, we had our minister and our doula and some very good friends staying in the hospital in Galesburg with Julia. So I went with Ruth to the Peoria Children's Hospital. When I got there, they had, and rightfully so, a good layer of security, as you can imagine, in getting into the NICU unit. And you had to prove that you were a family so that you could get a badge and go into the NICU unit. Had we not begun the adoption process and had we not had an interim order of adoption, I would not have been allowed into the hospital because she would not have been seen as mine. So it's for anyone who says civil union is exactly like marriage, they're wrong. And they're wrong in every important way. And most importantly, they're wrong in a cultural understanding of what is family.
And at the end of the day, all I want is, I want the same rights that every couple has. We just did our taxes, and because we can't file federal joint, it cost me $2,200. If we had filed as a joint married couple, federal, we would have got a $2,200 refund. As a result, we did not get that. We get about $300 between the two when it, my plus his minuses. So, marriage equality is just that. It's about being equal.
There's no threat to straight marriages. There's no threat to the establishment of society or anything like that. That people will still continue to have straight marriages and have babies and repopulate the world, which is some of the arguments that people say. Oh, well, if gays can get married, then we won't be able to. They can't procreate, so et cetera, et cetera. So the society will have this debate. Will decide. We'll see the values of marriage equality in marriage for all, and then settle the issue, and then say, okay, well, we as a society have moved on. That's just accepted, and then start to deal with the small groups and pockets of people that will persist and still always be prejudiced in some way or and want to discriminate against gay couples.
We had a wonderful minister.
That's exactly where I was.
Yeah. Speak at our commitment ceremony. He said, not everyone sees the sun rise at the same time, but the sun always comes up. And that's the truth. And humans are often afraid of what they don't understand. So I have to believe that with time, everyone will see the sun. Very, very important. Again, just as another layer of witnessing, and now we've got a government that will witness us. Thank you.
This is a very serious topic to talk while a turtle is flying.
But this is how we live, right?
It's real.
Totally, right? The smells have not come out yet, so that's good.